In this lesson, we're going to introduce the concept of enlargement and reduction. If you don't know what enlargement is, it's basically making a particular figure bigger in drawing, while reduction is making a particular figure smaller. At the heart of enlargement and reduction is the concept of a ratio. So you need to really understand that a ratio is a relationship between two amounts represented by two numbers. These two amounts in drawing can either be the size of a side of a figure or the area of a figure. With the ratio, it is very possible for us to know whether we're supposed to enlarge or reduce. How? Let's take a simple example here. We've got four ratios. How can we identify which ratios mean enlargement and which ratios don't mean enlargement? Let's look at the second ratio here, 3 to 2. In this ratio, we notice that 3 is bigger than 2. Whenever we see this, we know that it's enlargement. So the ratio 3 to 2 is an enlargement ratio. The other thing you could do is just convert this ratio into a fraction. How? Get the first number, make it your numerator. The second number, make it your denominator. After that, find the value of that fraction as a decimal fraction. If you do that quickly, you notice that the answer is 1.5. And now, the check that you need to make after you've converted it into a decimal fraction is just checking whether that number is greater than 1. Of course, 1.5 is greater than 1. And therefore, this ratio passes again as an enlargement. For the ratio 2 to 2, it's kind of tricky, right? Well, what you need to understand about enlargement and reduction is that since we're using ratios, we need to make sure the ratios are first in their lowest form possible. How? Try to divide the smallest number of the ratio into both numbers and see if it will leave a remainder. In this case, when we divide 2, you will see that our ratio simplifies to 1 to 1. And we kind of get stranded. The first number is the same value as the second number. We never talked about that, right? Well, what that simply means is that there's constancy. We have not changed the value of any side or the area of any of our figures, which means that this third ratio is neither an enlargement or reduction ratio. The last ratio there, 3 to 4, is not an enlargement ratio. Why? Because the first number is smaller than the second number. Additionally, if we convert this ratio by making the numerator 3 and the denominator 4, we notice that the number it gives us is 0.75, which is less than 1. From the previous discussion about enlargement, it's very easy for you to know which ratios here are for reduction. How? We can tell the first ratio 1 to 2 is a ratio for reduction because the first number is smaller than the second number. And if we convert this ratio into a fraction by making 1 a numerator, 2 a denominator, we notice that it gives us 0.5, which is less than 1. Hence, it's a reduction ratio. 3 to 2 was already used, so definitely it can be a reduction ratio. 2 to 2, we talked about this. This ratio 2 to 2 is neither reduction or enlargement because it has constancy. It gives us the number 1, meaning there's no change to the values of our figure. 3 to 4 is also a reduction ratio. How? I guess you know how now. When we're doing enlargement and reduction, as you may know, we have got two ways in which we can do it. We can do it by increasing the size of our sides or increasing the area. I'll separate these two methods by just naming the first one where we increase the size of our sides as linear, while the other one where we increase the area as area. Let's say we have a square. This square is enlarged to a particular bigger square. How is the linear ratio going to differ from the area ratio? Well, from the names themselves, we can have some idea. The linear ratio is going to make ratios between lines, which are the sides, while the area ratio is going to make ratios between the areas of the first figure and the second figure. A key thing to remember about these ratios is that there will always be a ratio between the new figure to the odd figure, or if you like, the original figure. So if in this figure we've got some sides x and y, we can make the linear ratio and the area ratios. Therefore, the linear ratio in this case is going to be y to x. This is because y is the side length for the new square, while x is the side length for the original square. To make our area ratio, we need to find the area of the new square, which has the side length of y, meaning it's y squared, y multiplied by y, and the original square has an area of x squared. From these two abstract ways of knowing the linear ratio and area ratio, if we find the square root of any area ratio, we'll end up with a linear ratio. Doing vice versa, squaring the linear ratio will give us an area ratio. A particular ratio that we don't use mostly when we're drawing plain geometry equations is the volume ratio, where we're finding the ratio of volumes. It also exists, but it's not very important. Now, let's say we had some numbers, 5 and 10 here, 5 being the side length of the original square and 10 being the side length for the enlarged square. It means the linear ratio for this square is going to be 10 to 5, while the area ratio is going to be 100 to 25. A key thing to notice when working with ratios is that our ratios are always supposed to be in the simplest form. These numbers are too big to work with on a paper. Imagine you get 100 centimeters, then you start working with it on an A4 paper or an A3 paper. It's not very practical. So it's a key thing that we reduce these. How? Let's take, for example, the linear ratio. What we're going to do is divide both numbers by the smallest number of that ratio. So in this ratio, 5 is the smallest, so we say 5 into 5 gives us 1. 5 into 10 gives us 2. The same applies for the area ratio, and we result with these simplified ratios. Simplified ratios are actually very important. They kind of give us an idea of what's really happening. For example, the linear ratio here is telling us that the enlarged square is twice the size of the original square. The area ratio is telling us the enlarged square has an area 4 times the original square. Actually, that can be shown graphically. The bigger square can fit 4 original squares in itself. Hence why there's that 4 on that new part. The next thing we need to be concerned about is concentric and point-based enlargement and reduction. Concentric just simply means we're enlarging our figure from the center of that figure. Let's say we have a regular pentagon which we want to reduce using concentric reduction. The first thing is locating the center of this figure. This is mostly done by just dividing any 2 or 3 internal angles. The internal angles are these angles inside. The angle here, this point, each of the vertices. After that, we'll be able to locate the center of the figure, and from that center we'll draw some radial lines, which are lines that will pass through the vertices as shown. Then using the ratio, we can reduce to a particular figure. In this simple explanation, I'm not focusing so much how we work with the ratio, but focusing on the general picture of how concentric reduction is done. On the other hand, when we're working with a point-based enlargement or reduction, in this case a point-based enlargement, what we'll do is draw the figure, and then from a particular point on the figure or a point not on the figure, we're going to draw lines from that point through all the vertices. Let's say we select this point here as our point for enlargement. We'll draw some radial lines through the vertices, and then using our ratio, we'll be able to enlarge the figure. These concepts that have been discussed are the basics of enlargement and reduction. Once understood, they really make you understand and not forget what enlargement or reduction is.